Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Midlands online worship service. My name is Marcia McDonald and I am the worship associate for this morning's service. Our minister, Eric Severson, is away on vacation and study leave until the end of August. Today's speaker will be UFOM member Doug Barth. Doug has been a member of our congregation for 3 years. He is a father of 3, loving husband, medical laboratory scientist, and permaculture enthusiast. He will be speaking today on the topic of freedom. If you haven't already, please type into the chat box who you are and who you have brought with you today. Unitarian Universalism is a welcoming and inclusive religion. It encourages us to keep open hearts and minds because our own experience, conscience, and reason are the final authorities in religion. It affirms the inherent worth and dignity of every person and that we are all connected to each other and to the earth. If you're visiting today, a special welcome to you. We appreciate you spending some of your Sunday morning with us. If you have any questions, please let us know in the chat box, by phone or through our Facebook page. You may notice that our speaker, worship associate, and musicians are in the sanctuary today, even though the building is still closed. We are trying to work through how to implement multi-platform worship so that we can maintain virtual access to our services once we are open in person. If you've been attending for some time and have come to feel that this is your spiritual home and you are considering becoming a member of the fellowship, please contact our minister, Eric Severson, our office administrator, Wendy Altmeyer, or let us know of your interest in the chat box. If you have a chalice or candle at home and would like to join in our chalice lighting remotely, now would be a good time to get that ready. We will be including joys and sorrows this morning, as we normally do during the service. You will want to find the participant icon to raise your hand for that. And we will move on now to announcements. You will see them on your screen. Next week's service, You and Your Burnout, is on Sunday, July 25th at 10:30. The past year has been very taxing for, well, pretty much all humans on planet Earth. In this service, we'll examine the signs of burnout that many of us may be experiencing and reflect on revitalization as viewed through the lens of our UU principles. Led by UUFOM minister Chris Nakamura. Join us each Sunday for fellowship and fun during our weekly UFOM picnic, weather permitting. Bring your own food and beverages. Our next picnic is today at 1:00 p.m. We hope to see you there. The fellowship office transitioned to a new Facebook group entitled UUFOM News. All Sunday service information, news, and events will be posted on the UUFOM News group only, along with information in the weekly candle flame and our website. The RE team is planning outdoor gatherings to keep us connected during the summer. Join us Saturday, July 31st from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Spray Park at Longview Early Childhood Center. Please contact Amanda Van Riggenmoyer to sign up. Start collecting water this summer to share during our in-gathering celebration in September. Thanks to everyone who attended our listening sessions. If you were unable to join us and would like to share information, please contact Wendy or a member of the board. After today's service, please go to uufom.org/Sunday-feedback and provide feedback for today's service. Submit an article for the weekly Candle Flame newsletter by Wednesday at 5 p.m. During the summer months, the newsletter will be circulated on Fridays. The UUFOM virtual office will be open Thursday through Sunday. If you need a paper copy of any form, or you wish to be added to our newsletter, or have any questions about any of these announcements, please email Wendy at office@uufom.org. If you have a candle or chalice at home and would like to light it now, please do so. Please join in reading our chalice lighting words today, titled The Struggle for Freedom by Paul Sprecher. We light this chalice in memory of the courage of those who struggled for freedom, the persistence of those who've struggled for justice, and the love of those who've built beloved communities to carry on the light of hope. Now our speaker for today, Doug Barth, will share our opening words.
Thank you, Marcia. Our opening words today are an excerpt from a commencement address given by Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania on June 6, 1961. He said, "For in a real sense, America is a dream yet unfulfilled. It is the dream of a land where men of all races, of all nationalities, and all creeds can live together as brothers. The substance of the dream is expressed in these sublime words, words lifted to cosmic proportions. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness."
Thank you, Doug. With your mics muted, please join Melanie Willison, Sandy Hay, and Kevin King in singing our opening hymn, an African American spiritual, "Oh, I Woke Up This Morning."
And if you can bear with us a minute, we are changing microphones. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind
and it was stayed
on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind and
it was
stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind
and it was stayed
on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I was walking and talking with my mind
and it was stayed
on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind
and it was stayed
on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind
and it was stayed
on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I was singing and praying with my mind
and it was
stayed on freedom. Singing and praying with my mind
and it was stayed
on freedom. Singing and praying with my mind
and it was stayed
on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind
and it was stayed
on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind
and it was
Stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind.
and it was
Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Melanie, Sandy, and Kevin. Now I declare the message for the time of all ages. I am reading today from the book called I Am Brave, a little book about Martin Luther King by Brad Metzler, illustrated by Christopher Eliopoulos. I am Martin Luther King Jr. Come dream with me. A dream is an adventure that you can build inside your mind. Can you count all my books? My dreams grew big with books. Even as a kid, I knew words had power. You start with hope, add some faith, and you'll be amazed at what you'll find. Give a hug to someone you love. My family taught me it's better to have more love in your life, and that you must never feel you are less than anyone else. My dreams are of love, of making peace and shining bright. Lift those up around you. Be brave and do what's right, until justice runs down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Back then, not everyone was allowed to sit in the front of the bus. To protest these rules, one of my first big speeches demanded that people be treated fairly. One day you will help others. One day you'll take a stand. Hold hands. We're all sisters and brothers. It's how we'll reach the promised land. At the March on Washington, thousands of people came together to demand that everyone be treated equally. Be brave, my little dreamer. We need you more now than ever. The very best dream of all is the one where we dream together. I am Martin Luther King Jr. I know nothing can stop our dream. I invite you now to center yourselves and enter into a time of reflection, meditation, or prayer. Today's prayer is by Dr. King. Oh God, we thank you for the lives of great saints and prophets in the past who have revealed to us that we can stand up amid the problems and difficulties and trials of life and not give in. We thank you for our foreparents who have given us something in the midst of the darkness of exploitation and oppression to keep going. Grant that we will go on with proper faith and the proper determination of will, so that we will be able to make a creative contribution to this world. In the name and spirit of Jesus, we pray.
Thank you, Doc. Let's share now in an interlude, a medley of 3 African-American hymns arranged and played by Melanie. Over my head, when the Spirit says do, and we shall overcome.
Thank you, Melanie. That was beautiful. For this morning, I am going to talk on reflections of freedom and my thoughts of Martin Luther King. Thought you would talk first about what COVID has done many things to our country, our world, if not our species. We were cooped up in our houses and we celebrated our children's birthday parties on Zoom. We have come to a deeper understanding of how we're all one, meaning how we're responsible for each other and connected on many levels, while we have to come to terms with a changed world not of our choosing. The vaccine is allowing a change in the tide to go back to the same way it was before. I humbly ask for a moment to consider a new path, and I get to explore and geek out one of my favorite people, Martin Luther King Jr. He may have been best known for ending legal segregation, passing voting rights, and inspiring the nation to overcome past prejudices. But he also had a depth of spirit and wisdom that looked at many things in our world. In his quest for understanding human rights, I believe one of his central themes was freedom. So what did he consider freedom? Dr. King perceived freedom as an inalienable right for voting, choice, and living. And as Dr. King was a man of action, I want state government policies based on that belief, not just on philosophical argument. We're going to put our money where our mouth is. Dr. King said in 1967, "We can't solve our problems unless there is a radical redistribution of economic and political power." Now, growing up, I have highly respected this man. I remember from social classes, where they usually discussed on his holiday. To think that this man's holiday, usually given to presidents, wars, veterans, or groups of people, he was given a day. The reasons why are obvious. He put forth solid social and economic ideas. He cared for the weak and the modern downtrodden. He is a model we can look up to. Now, in the vein from a book I just previously read by Neil Donald Walsh called The God Solution, and if I ever get a winning bet for Eric's sermon every year, I'll ask him to write one on it. Dr. King was what Neil called an idea hero. People who reach out and push humanity with new ideas, expanding human consciousness. Now I want to expand on this idea, what Dr. King had, his big ideas on how to expand freedom, how to enact policies in our lives. I'm going to be audacious enough to take what he said and play the tune out to a new melody, to improvise, to ad-lib new ideas. He preached freedom and explained it in overarching terms in these three topics. I believe it's government universal basic income, or UBI, youth civilian corps, and agape revitalization of politics. And I want to review these policies and stretch them to look them in new ways, because I want to be as brave as Dr. King. Now, Dr. King also said, "I am convinced that the simplest approach to prove to be the most effective, the solution to poverty, is to abolish it directly by a now widely termed measure, the guaranteed income." So I'll talk about that guaranteed income. It's a starting approach that aligns with universal health care. As children are allowed allowance for food, home, and basic necessities, adults are permitted the same. A guaranteed income would be an economic floor to help anyone who moved between jobs, pay unexpected bills, would also inject money into local economies. We could start paying those who do primary work for our economy, the vast majority of people who work for no pay, mothers, caretakers, and people who receive almost no pay for minimum wage jobs. Now, everyone benefits not just economically, but mental health issues related to money would be greatly reduced. Everyone can do family planning for the future or continue education. It would be the start of the end of poverty. You can choose the business that works best for you. And that's what I call true freedom. The shackles of the mind, numbingly boring, meaningless work can be broken. Now, Dr. King also said, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. Now, additionally to basic income, Dr. King argued for full employment, which is when jobs are so full, employers have to start paying everybody more since the job pool is limited. He liked it due to the idea that racism-supported hiring would be gone during his time because employers would have to hire whoever's available and hopefully best fit for the job. This idea would lead to freedom of place to live and work. One doesn't have to make life choices based on a limited set of changes. Basic income would motivate employers to fight over people best for the job. What I would put forth, first step before any of that ever happens, we need to increase the knowledge set of our populace, and I believe that's through a program like AmeriCorps. Now, AmeriCorps is the involvement of youth to head to different parts of the nation to help struggling economies. An AmeriCorps-like structure after high school would be implemented as a massive involvement of youth in society. They could walk many facets of life: farming intern, political intern, school board intern. They could be involved in healthcare, military, plumbing, road construction, and house building. What is their passion can be found out by exploration or what their latent talents are. And gosh, do we need all the help we can get. Being involved would encourage us to not sit on the sidelines of life. People can geek out about the littlest things and work their whole lives on them. This drive is what past generations decry our present generation doesn't have. It is a purpose we can learn to be there in times of trouble and comfort. We don't want people to have no purpose where we worry about just earthly matters. We can learn what's important is the choice to serve others. Now, Dr. King also said, on my last portion here, in spite of the darkness of this hour, we must not despair. We must not become bitter, nor must we harbor the desire to retaliate with violence, nor we must not lose faith in our white brothers. Somehow we must believe that the most misguided among them can learn to respect the dignity and worth of all human personalities. Now, Dr. King practiced nonviolent protests, and nonviolence was the key, the tool, which brought all of his changes to society. He led the nation to a higher place through nonviolence. I would argue it was his common theme of nonviolence and love, which elevated the civil rights movement to the greatest movement of this nation. Now, the reason for nonviolence was evident in his speeches because he explained it. As if one acted in violence, it would lead to anger and resentment on both sides with no real changes to society. Violence begets violence, hate begets hate, hate leads to suffering. He used the philosophy of the Christian agape love. Wikipedia defines agape love as the highest form of love, charity, the love of God for man and of man of God. It is not a romantic love. Now, the concept of agape love reframes the question between the people you are fighting into a fight of injustice and justice, with an understanding of the other side only feeling what they're trying to do is right. It is freeing to believe that you can resist bad policy and hold the other side no ill will. And you're not stuck in a dichotomy where you're on a constant struggle. If politics worked and practiced any agape love, I could see only bettering our nation. I would like to see full engagement, community-driven involvement and argument. And akin to sister international cities, it would be between community groups within nations to communicate their thoughts and feelings about how the world is doing and what we can do. A government group from Vermont visits South Dakota to hear what they have to say on water rights, or Wisconsin City visiting another city in Wisconsin to talk about gerrymandering. Groups moving freely and to converse, discuss the problems of their living, which hopefully promotes cooperation. In case of federal action, policy would change internationally for consideration of the people we act for or against. I'd also like a federal holiday like that Greco-Christian used to have and what Native Americans called Ghost Supper. Instead of the usual feast prepared by families for immediate friends and family, food is prepared and homes are opened up for all to come in. When policies are changed to include this love, we can change society, increase our freedom as well. Now, in his I Have a Dream speech, Dr. King said, "This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we'll be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we'll be able to transform the jaggling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we'll be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will one day be free." Now, in that speech, Dr. King said to let freedom ring for all people. He wasn't talking metaphorically, on the cuff, or randomly. Just like one time he said while sitting in front of a committee, the current political people at the time said high blood-pressured words and were anemic of action. He didn't want aspirational words with no action involved. His policies were what we tried to answer in his dream speech. He wanted this nation to reach its highest points, but one can't do that while minorities are still underwater economically, especially in our time of how the pandemic affected minorities more severely. Altogether, Dr. King tried to wrap up all of his ideas in what he described as beloved community. Explained by the King Center, a beloved community is a global vision in which all people can share in the wealth of the earth. In the beloved community, poverty, hunger, and homelessness will not be tolerated because international standards of human decency will not allow it. How can we not be inspired to make a society like that? Humanity is itching for this freedom. Not to say it'll be easy, nothing great is easy, but it'll change what you look for more than the societal expiration of the unknown. We can move mountains if we just have the faith of a mustard seed. We can create a new age of idea heroes. I hope that basic income, expanded AmeriCorps, agape love inspired policies, or something like it will help us reach those mountaintops. Bless you, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Doug. We affirm the work of this fellowship and its mission with our time, talent, and treasure. We continue to rely on you paying your pledges and providing what you would otherwise drop in the collection plate. Please give as generously as you can, and may what you give bring you joy. Thank you for your generosity. Let's share now in an offertory, "Come and Go With Me," an African-American spiritual arranged by Kenny Smith, played by Melanie. Thank you, Melanie. Now, with your mics muted, please join Melanie, Sandy, and Kevin in singing our closing hymn, an African-American spiritual titled, "We Shall Not Be Moved."
Thank you, Doug. That was wonderful. And this is a song that I found online that was used in the civil rights period. It's not in your hymnal, but I have the words and it's easy to sing. I hope people join us at home. Kevin will be accompanying us on the guitar. Like I said, if you give us a minute, we'll get set up here with the mic change. You ready, Sandy and Kevin?
Yep.
Okay. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. When my burden's heavy, we shall not be moved. When my burden's heavy, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Don't let the world deceive you. We shall not be moved. Don't let the world deceive you. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Black, brown, white together, we shall not be moved. Black, brown, white together, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom, we shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our children, we shall not be moved. We're fighting for our children, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted in the water. We shall not be moved.
Thank you, Sandy, Kevin, and Melanie. Our closing words today are an excerpt from a speech delivered by Dr. King at the first annual Institute on Nonviolence and Societal Change in Montgomery, Alabama in December 1956. If we join together in doing all these things, we will be able to speed up the coming of a new world in which men will live together as brothers, a world in which men will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, a world in which men will no longer take necessities from the masses to give luxuries to the classes, a world in which all men will respect the dignity and worth of all human personality. Thank you to everyone who helped make this service possible today, and thank you all for joining us today. Following the postlude, we'll have a virtual coffee hour. We'll invite you to stay to chat if you can. You may choose to stay in the main room and speak with me, or join one of the breakout rooms for conversation and fellowship. Our musicians Melanie, Sandy, and Kevin will now share a postlude titled I Wish I Knew How by Billy Taylor and Dick Dallas, arranged by Mary Ellen Walden. Please take this time of transition to continue to contemplate the spiritual experience we shared this morning, or if you need to take a break before returning for a conversation. Whatever you may encounter in the coming week, please know that the love of this community goes with you. Until we are together again, many blessings.
would feel to be free. I wish I could break all these chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things I could say. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole world to hear. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole world to hear.
I wish I could share all the love in my heart. Remove all the bars that still keep us apart. I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you'd see and agree everyone should be free. Then you'd see and agree everyone should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. I wish I could do all the things I can do, though I'm way overdue. I'd be starting anew, though I'm way overdue. I'd be starting anew. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea. Then I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free. Then I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free.